What if we've been wrong about Bigfoot this whole time? Not just wrong about what he is, but wrong about who he is. What if Bigfoot isn't some wild animal wandering the woods? What if he's smarter than us? What if the reason we haven't caught him is because he's always been one step ahead? For decades, Bigfoot has been portrayed as a primitive creature. Blurry photos, snapped twigs, distant howls, always just out of reach, always out of focus. We treat him like a missing link, a relic of the past, something behind us on the evolutionary tree. But what if we've got it backwards? What if Bigfoot is not behind us? What if he's beyond us? Today, we're exploring a theory that flips everything we think we know. A theory that says maybe the real reason we haven't caught Bigfoot is because we're not smart enough to. Chapter 1. He never gets caught. Let's start with what we know. We've been looking for Bigfoot for decades. We've set up trail cams, drones, bait, infrared, satellites, and sound traps. We've had boots on the ground and helicopters in the air. And what do we have to show for it? Nothing. Not one clear, verified video. Not one body. Not a single tooth. People say that means he isn't real. But what if it means he's smarter than we are? Think about it. If Bigfoot has higher intelligence, maybe not like ours, but its own kind, he might know how to avoid being seen. He might smell trail cameras. He might understand our technology. He might even recognize human movement patterns and stay far away from them. We assume we're the hunters in this story, but maybe we're the ones being watched. Chapter 2. Is Bigfoot studying us? Here's where it gets eerie. Many eyewitnesses report the same thing. They didn't feel attacked. They felt observed. They say Bigfoot was standing still, silent, watching, just watching. From the shadows, from the tree line, from a distance. What if Bigfoot isn't a beast? What if he's a field researcher? While we're stomping through forests with radios and rifles, he's standing in silence, listening. While we scan for heat signatures, he's memorizing human behavior. While we argue whether he's real, he's already figured us out. Maybe the only reason we haven't caught him is because he knows not to get caught. Chapter 3. Communication and language. Let's talk about sound. In Bigfoot encounters, people report strange things. Wood knocks, rock throwing, whistles, mimicked voices, low-frequency growls that you feel in your chest more than hear with your ears. Some scientists brush it off as animal behavior, but patterns are being recorded, and patterns suggest intent. Intent suggests communication. What if Bigfoot has a language? Not like ours, not spoken words, but a form of sound and rhythm we don't understand. What if the forest is full of conversation, and we've just never been smart enough to listen? Chapter 4. Masters of the environment. We like to think we dominate the planet, but take away our phones, electricity, roads, and heaters. And how long would you last in the forest? 3 days? A week? Bigfoot doesn't need gear. He doesn't need shelter. He doesn't need us. He is the forest. He knows where to walk to avoid cameras. He can move through terrain silently. He can vanish into mist and trees like he was never there. That's not brute strength. That's mastery. Maybe the smartest way to survive is to blend in so perfectly, no one even knows you're there. Chapter 5. Is he choosing isolation? Here's a question we rarely ask. What if Bigfoot doesn't want anything to do with us? Not because he's shy, not because he's hiding, but because he's choosing isolation. Maybe he's watched us for centuries, watched as we destroyed forests, watched as we killed our own species, watched as we ignored the world burning around us. What if he saw all that and said, "No thanks"? What if he stepped away from the madness of humanity and never looked back? Maybe he didn't disappear from our world. Maybe he left it on purpose. Chapter 6. Ancient Intelligence. Let's go deeper. What if Bigfoot isn't just smart now? What if he's always been smart? Every ancient culture has stories of tall, hairy forest beings, guardians of the land, spirits of nature, silent watchers. What if those weren't myths? What if Bigfoot has been here longer than us? What if he saw the rise of empires and the fall of civilizations and chose to remain in the trees? Not because he couldn't evolve, but because he already figured it out. Chapter 7. What if he's not alone? What if Bigfoot isn't the only one? What if there's a network of them, across continents, each one observing, learning, surviving in secret? A silent civilization, not with phones or cities or war, but with wisdom passed down through generations. Maybe they have their own rituals, their own maps, their own way of recording knowledge, carved into stone, etched into trees, passed through sound. And maybe the only reason we don't know about it is because they never wanted us to. Chapter 8. Why we'll never find him. Let's be honest. Maybe we'll never catch Bigfoot because he doesn't want to be caught. Maybe the entire reason the mystery survives is because he lets it. He's the ghost in the woods, the whisper between trees, the question we can't answer. And maybe that's the point. Maybe Bigfoot doesn't want to be seen. Maybe his greatest intelligence is knowing when to walk away from a species like ours. Chapter 9. What if Bigfoot has a moral code? We often assume intelligence means domination. Building empires, taming nature, conquering the unknown. But what if true intelligence means restraint? What if Bigfoot doesn't kill, not because he can't, but because he chooses not to? What if he could destroy our gear, our traps, even us, but instead he just disappears into the trees? Some indigenous stories describe these beings not as monsters, but as guardians, protectors of sacred places, beings with values, boundaries, honor. What if Bigfoot follows a set of rules we'll never understand? A moral code passed through generations, not written in books, but lived. Maybe he doesn't interact with us because he's been taught that we aren't ready. Maybe there's a line he refuses to cross, even when we do. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes him smarter than us. So ask yourself again, what if Bigfoot is real? Not just as a creature, but as a conscious being. What if he's not behind us in evolution, but ahead of us in understanding? What if we're chasing something that already figured out what we haven't? Not how to build, not how to conquer, but how to live without destroying everything around you. Maybe he doesn't need to be seen. Maybe he doesn't care about proof. Maybe he doesn't want to be famous. Maybe Bigfoot already understands something we've been trying to figure out for centuries. That being unseen is sometimes the highest form of wisdom. Now, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Bigfoot could be something more than just a legend? Is he a being of survival or something greater? Would meeting him change how we see nature? Or would we try to control what we don't understand? Let me know in the comments below. And if you believe in questioning everything, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to look at Bigfoot a little differently. Because maybe the real mystery isn't whether he exists, it's why he stayed silent for so long. Until next time, stay curious and keep your eyes on the tree line.